What's up guys, welcome back to the channel and another video. Actually drinking coffee this time for a change. Normally it's tea, but I like to mix in coffee the odd time. Anyway, it is just me again for this video because this one is just going to be a little quick one. Not going to blabber on too much. I know I say that in videos and then end up talking a lot more than I plan to, but this one is literally just going to be a quick run through of how we set up our Fuji, which is right here, our Fuji XT30 for videography, filmmaking, whatever you want to call it. It's really just a quick run through the menu because I know a lot of you guys may be interested in getting the Fuji XT30, may have already got it, or maybe getting another Fuji camera, and menus are all very similar as far as I know. So we're just going to run through it so that if you guys aren't sure, and I know when you get a new camera, setting up all those different things and flicking through the menu can be a little bit overwhelming. And yeah, just a little quick and simple one because we have had a few comments in relation to this sort of thing, and hopefully it's something that might help some of you out. Just in case this is the first video of ours that you've came across by searching something similar to the title of this video, there normally is two of us. I'm Chris, Christina's normally here too, and we like to go out and make photo vlogs, make cinematic videos, do a little bit of exploring and just document our process through photo and videos. So if you want to check out some of our other videos, then I'm sure they're along the side here somewhere, or yeah, just click on the channel, check them out and hopefully enjoy them. Alright, so just before we get into all these settings, just want to say that these are not necessarily the best settings. These are just the ones that we've used, and so far we're pretty happy with how everything works with the camera. If we come across any issues or if we learn something that might be of use to us, we may end up changing some of these over time, but for now we're pretty happy with how it works. So okay, so let's just skip these first few sections and go straight down to the movie settings. And first of all, we have movie mode. We shoot pretty much everything in 4K 23.98 unless we're switching to slow-mo. Full HD high speed is currently off, and this is where we would switch to slow-mo. And when we are shooting slow-mo, we will pick the bottom one, which is pretty much shooting in 120 frames, and then it plays it back in 23.98, so essentially 24. Film simulation, we currently use the ASTIA soft profile. We at the start used Eterna, and we just felt like it was a little bit too desaturated for us, and we tried out ASTIA soft, really like how it works, and we've been using it since then. White balance, it completely depends where you are. Normally what we'll do if we're out recording is we'll pick between daylight or shade. Normally one of those works. If not, we might set our own particular white balance here with the Kelvin setting, but normally daylight or shade for us. Dynamic range is we just keep it at 100. If it's real low light, we might switch that up to 200 or 400, but it's normally just left at 100. Highlights we have at -2, which helps us retain a bit more detail in the highlights, and shadows is -2, which raises up the shadows a little bit. ASTIA soft is very contrasty, so we don't want to make it even more contrasty than it already is. For color, we have it set at -1. That's actually been something we adjusted recently because we noticed that the ASTIA soft sometimes, especially when you're watching on your phone, watching any of our videos, sometimes it can be almost too saturated. It's hard to know because when we edit on the laptop, it doesn't look like that, so it's hard to know, but we just put it at -1 for now, which means we can then either desaturate it a little bit more if needed or add a little bit back in during color grading. Sharpness we have set at -2, just because it just gives you that nice sort of soft look and takes a little bit of the digital sharpness off. Noise reduction we have set at +1. Again, you can set this wherever you want depending on the type of lighting scenario that you're shooting in. If you're shooting in real low light, then you might want to boost this up to 2, 3 or 4, but we always forget about this setting, to be fair, so I just have it set at +1 in case we do shoot at low light and I forget. At least there's some sort of noise reduction going on. Not really sure what that is. F-log we do not record in. I've heard a lot of people recommend probably best not to record an F-log on the Fuji XT30 if you're shooting in 8-bit, just because it can fall apart sometimes. Peripheral light correction, honestly not really sure. It was on, we just haven't really touched it. Focus area, that doesn't really matter either, you can pick your area. For the autofocus custom settings, we currently have tracking sensitivity at +2. I believe that's actually where it's set. Just when you get the camera. We haven't noticed any problems. It just means that if you're focusing on something in the distance and a bird flies past or someone walks past, it's not going to automatically try and focus on them and lose focus on what you were originally focused on, which I think is probably best. If you notice that happening, then you can go lower and it literally won't focus on anything passing by in the foreground unless it stays there for any period of time. Autofocus speed we have set to 0. Again, we haven't noticed any problems with this, and we don't want it too fast because it just doesn't look nice in cinematic videos if it's constantly changing focus and stuff. 0 has worked for us. If you like to shoot a lot of stuff in continuous and you make cinematic videos, then maybe lower that a bit more and it'll slow down that change of focus even more, and that looks kind of good, kind of like pull and focus. I'm just going to have to cut in because I noticed when I was watching this back that face and eye detection was grayed out. That was because I had set slow-mo mode, but we normally have face and eye detection turned on, and we pick eye auto, which means that when we're filming each other, it tracks the eye and keeps you in focus, which is pretty useful and seems to work pretty well. Anyway, continue on. For the manual focus assist, we have it set to standard, and focus peak highlight we have set to red high, which means that when we're in manual focus, everything that's in focus will have like a red outline on it, which just makes it real easy to see and make sure that what you actually want to focus on is in focus. Focus check is turned on, which, if I'm right, I think it's when you're in manual focus and you adjust your focus, it zooms in a little bit so you can see a little bit better what exactly is in focus. Don't need to worry about these. We just have left these all the same. SD, 4K, HDMI 4K. Yeah, don't really need to worry about those. HDMI recording, don't really need to worry about that. Zebra settings we have set to zebra right. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure one of these is on so you can see what stuff is overexposed. Zebra level we have set to 100, which seems to work pretty well for us. The Fuji deals very well with highlights, and we found that if we just have a little bit of the zebras in the sky, it looks good in the video mode. Yeah, like I said, this camera deals with the highlights really well. Audio setting is something somebody actually recently asked us in a comment. Internal mic level, we have this set to -4.5. Again, we don't really ever record our audio without having an external mic. This camera, it actually sounds pretty decent, but if you're out in windy conditions or that, I wouldn't recommend just recording. If you really have to, make sure you get the little wind mufflers on top of the little mic inputs. The external mic level adjustment we have set to -10.5. We just kept lowering it until we felt that it didn't pick up background noise as much, and when we have the little Rode Video Micro on, this works well for us, and we just raise the audio a little bit when we're editing then to bring the voice back to where we want it. Mic level limiters on. Wind filter, we just have that turned off because we have a little wind muffler on our mic, and then we don't really ever use the other ones. And don't really need to worry about these. You can turn the tally light on or off if you want to be able to see from the front whether your camera's recording or not. And that's pretty much it for these ones. If we just go down to the screen setup, there's a few other little things that we have set just to make things a little bit easier for us. In screen settings, if you go down, if you want to see your white balance in camera when you're changing it to see if daylight looks good or shade looks good, you want to make sure that you have preview, exposure and white balance selected, and then natural live view off so you can actually see what that looks like on screen. It took us a while to figure this out at the start, and we were changing between our white balance and it didn't look any different in screen. That is why. So set those two and you'll be able to see your white balance in screen. And then for button and dial settings, we haven't really changed too much. We haven't really got too many custom buttons. Like I said, the one that we do have and use all the time is this one, which was, we have the AFL button right here set to autofocus on. And that pretty much means that we have back button focus with the little AFL button here instead of on the shutter button, because yeah, we just feel like it works. It works very well for video, especially when we're in manual mode, and we also use it for photo as well. And that's pretty much it. We haven't really messed around with the Q menu too much. The things that were in there at the start are still there. Sometimes we'll go in and change dynamic range this way, or the white balance, and everything else pretty much stays the same. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, we haven't really got too many custom buttons and stuff on the go, just a few little things that we feel help us out when we're out there filming and stuff. So anyway, hopefully that was helpful in some way or other. Maybe there's a few things in there that you didn't know you should have set a certain way. But yeah, so if you did find this one helpful, then maybe give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you want to see more. Before I blabber on too much more, I'll finish this one here. So as we always say, take it easy, don't be a stranger.